Where is that? Yeah, we will talk about the Instant Pot and kind of setting things up, so then that way you can kind of set it, forget it, and do meals for like later in the day. Say for instance, when you come home from work. We will definitely get to that. I need brown sugar. I'm also going to throw the sprigs of thyme in. I literally just snip these, and I'm going to leave them on the sprig, so then that way they can be easily pulled out. I'm just throwing that in. I need 4 tablespoons of brown sugar. And I find it hilarious, Rab, that you call yourself old, because I know for a fact I have at least 10 years on you. That's about 4. A little bit more for good measure. Alright. Salt that I have in here is my kombu salt, which if you're like, I don't understand what that means, kombu is just giant kelp that is used in not only Japanese but Korean cuisine in order to make kind of the base dashi stock. And in this case, because kombu has naturally occurring MSG in it, it's like a supercharged salt. I can go on and on about that, but I'm going to avoid that for right now. Alright, so we got our vinegar, we got our brown sugar, we got the thyme, we got the salt. I will worry about the pepper and the chili pepper a little bit later. So I just want to get this heated up, and hey, what do you know? The camera is actually working right now. But of course, now that I've, mentioned it, it's going to decide to stop working. It's just going to freeze up and just be done, because that's my luck. So yeah, I'm just warming this and swirling it around to get it to dissolve. And I figured I might as well throw the thyme in there, and for no other reason, to just kind of let the heat kind of wake it up and start to extract some of those volatile oils that give thyme its distinctive smell and taste. Okay, that's actually looking pretty good. So that, yeah, that's looking like it's nicely dissolved. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of this dark soy sauce. That's going to help give the chicken a little bit of color too. And then that's going to go in. Sealing it up just for a moment, just so I can kind of get it initially mixed up before sucking out as much air as I can. Alright. Will it stay? This is the game I play. How long will it stay upright before it decides it wants to fall over? And that's about a teaspoon. Let's go with another one. So it's going to add a little bit of warmth to this, but it's not going to be super overwhelming. And then eventually, well, as soon as we're ready to get this into the oven and we put the chicken into the tray with everything else, we're going to put the marinade in there too. So that's going to help flavor and season everything else that's going in the tray. Give it a good massage. Alright, so that's ready to go. We're going to let that sit right there. Okay. As for the players for everything else. Yo, DM me recipes. Every recipe I look up either has ingredients I've never owned or starts off with a 10-page life story. You will find that is the case with just about every food blog out there, Rav. And it has to do with the copyrights on the recipes. It's really sort of convoluted. Lumpy actually sent me a link to a site called Just the Recipe that goes through and will actually strip out like all of that and just give you the recipe. It is a subscription service. However, it is really helpful if you just want to see the recipe. So I'll hit you up, Rav, and we'll talk a little bit and kind of figure out what it is that you want to do, and we'll get you hooked up. No worries. Hey, Ivy Stupid's here. Welcome, welcome. You feel old inside. Funny how that happens. Lumpy's mom is an Instant Pot junkie. She makes baby back ribs in her Instant Pot, and they're awesome. So, interesting thing, yeah, ribs in a pressure cooker is a classic method of making them. There will be those that will shun them, yea, verily, because it's not done over wood, but it honestly, if it tastes good, I don't really care how they're produced. So, that's just, my 2 cents on the matter. A blog needs to be so many words before it can be copyrighted, so that's why they are so long. Yeah, I'd be stupid with the knowledge. Interesting. Oh. Diaz Malley, thank you so much for the resub. No worries. Feel free to lurk to your heart's content. Hang out. Take care. Yeah. And, oh, Diaz did not get a shout out. Lumpy, would you be so kind as to shout out Diaz Malley? There it is. I'm like, I have this thing set up
69 dudes!
Mally is a pretty amazing person, like it says. She is incredibly awesome and talented, and yes, definitely go, when she does stream, go hang out. It's always a good time. A really nice wide range of music that she plays, and so I'm a big fan of hers. Okay, chicken be marinating. Time to get some stuff chopped up. Oh, hi, little puppy. Oh, little woo-woo girl. Hang on. There's the little woo-woo girl. Oh, we love the puppy. Okay, come here, girl. Where's Jane? Come here, Jane. Good boy. All right. I know, I just petted and played with y'all, so we need to wash our hands because now I'm going to start working with food that's going in my mouth. Werewolves of Texas. I'm like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? Oh, okay. So into the tray bake, we're throwing in a couple of red onions. I got some mushrooms here. I just grabbed the button ones because they actually look better at the mark. Oh, you can't see it. Red onions. These are just buttons, like I said. They're what look best at the market right now, so I just grabbed a bunch. Red potatoes that we're going to slice up. And then I've got one of each of the peppers that we'll throw in there too. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Thank you, Miss Nadex. Yes, I love my doggos. The little one that came in here and started wooing, the brindle, she's Vera. And then the big guy that came in, his name is Jane. If you've ever seen Firefly, it'll make complete sense. So, and now they're running around playing, it sounds like. I just hear, I don't know if the mic is picking up, but I just hear claws like not getting traction on the wood floor out there. If you get the reference names with the dogs of Vera and Jane, yeah. Yes, you are one of us if you get the reference. Alright, so I've already scrubbed the potatoes, I've cleaned the mushrooms, I've cleaned the peppers. all we're doing is chopping them up and getting there. I like to trim off the stem of the mushrooms just till they're flush, because you find that the base part of it like that can be really woody and not the greatest things to eat. However, they are fantastic for making things like stock. There's a lot of flavor in there. And so we'll get those chopped up and thrown in there. And this is just a big sheet, big tray that I have. I've lined it with the non-stick foil that I use all the time. Just so then that way I hopefully don't have to scrub it later, because scrubbing dishes is no bueno. I am not a fan. So since this is only going to be in the oven for about 40 minutes, and I don't want them to shrivel into nothing, I need some chunks with some size. So with these guys, I'm probably going to cut them up in a sixth. About like that. Because these are kind of chunky mushrooms. Oh! I added a new channel point redeem. Feel free to play with it if you'd like. But then the chicken is just going to sit on top of all this while it roasts. I've already got my oven on and ready to go. Actually, I've got both ovens on and ready to go, since the cornbread bakes at 375, whereas the chicken and everything else is going to bake at 400. Alright, mushrooms done. On to the potatoes. For these, going through the middle. I think I'm going to do these in kind of the same, but in half. So instead of 6 pieces, these will be in 12. The idea is hopefully they'll all be done at the same time, and since potatoes are denser than everything else, have to ask, was cooking always a passion, or was it a professional career at some point as well? Oh, the new redeem is called Hot. And it should trigger because I tested it earlier. Hot! There it is. Did the sound and everything else come through?
Nutcha!
So back to Rav's question about food being a passion and everything else. I've been basically cooking kind of my entire life. The running joke is that I was born and raised in the kitchen. Basically for my entire life, I spent a lot of time as a kid in the kitchen with my mom, who's Avocado Green KitchenAid, and she's around here. And so it was just something that I enjoyed doing. At some point, I started entering the county fair, and entered every year, multiple times every year for like a long time. Won a bunch of ribbons for stuff like that. But it wasn't something that I wanted to get into as like an actual job kind of thing. Then let's see, how does this go? I went to college, got my degree in photography, worked in the professional photo finishing industry for, gosh, nearly a decade. I was a professional printer. I ended up working at one of the Kodak processing labs, being one of the last people in the world really to process Kodachrome film. Worked as a quality control tech while I was there, and then when Kodak couldn't figure out how to survive in the digital age, I got laid off and went back to school. The school that I ended up going to had a culinary arts program, but because of my experience in the photographic industry, where after a while it kind of ground me down and I stopped taking pictures, which was something that I absolutely loved, and I hadn't picked up a camera for a long time. So because of that, I didn't want to go into the culinary program, because the last thing I wanted to have happen was have schooling and working in that profession kill a passion of mine, and especially something that had been, you know, kind of a constant in my life. So I started studying industrial design while I was there, but here I am, you know, on a break from a Photoshop class, and what am I doing? I'm standing outside the kitchen classrooms that were literally right outside the doors. So eventually I left the industrial design program because I realized it just wasn't where my heart was, and I got into the culinary program there. Got into the culinary program and just took to it like a fish to water. But I very, very quickly learned while I was in there that working in the culinary industry, be it restaurants or whatever, you have got to love the work, because it is high stress environment, really long hours. Usually until you get really up there, the pay isn't all that great. And I mean, even like one of the semesters I had to do an externship, and so I worked in a it's kind of a high-end restaurant at the time in I think it was Manhattan Beach. It's a place called Sashi. They're no longer there. The chef owner, he came through the school as a guest lecturer at one point, and come to find out, he was actually, if you've watched the old Iron Chef series, be it the Japanese or the American one, either or, you would probably be familiar with the name Morimoto, the Japanese Iron Chef. Well, this gentleman that owned the restaurant was Morimoto's sous chef for a long time, and in fact, he appeared in not only the Japanese but the U.S. show as his sous chef. This is back in the beginning of when they were doing Iron Chef America, before he moved out on his own. So the guy had a pedigree. Morimoto came and when his restaurant opened up, for instance. So that's just kind of like, as an FYI, that's, you know, kind of where I was. And I was working in, you know, kind of the app station as well as prep work. And it was rough. Like, it was really rough. And that was really kind of what cemented me not wanting to work in a restaurant per se. So I've since taken, I mean, I worked at like Whole Foods, which Whole Foods was a really great environment, or it was, and I say past tense, for kind of my creativity, my personality. Although I kind of felt like the Ron Swanson of Whole Foods, because I would make wildly inappropriate jokes that the customers just would not understand. Let me rinse these out just to get the seeds out, and then I'll tell you that one particular joke that probably my very favorite. So the store that I worked at in particular was in South Orange County in California. This particular location was in a fairly affluent area, okay? Not that far from the beach, very affluent, okay? A lot of money. I mean, it was not like some of the LA stores where, you know, they almost had like an exotic